Welcome to ATV Expeditions Nova Scotia. This is an article that I wrote back on August 28th, 2018. You can find it on my Facebook page. Enforcement, a must to move forward. Enforcement on the trails is such a touchy subject with so many people. I don't fully understand why this is, however. The only way to move forward with OHVs here in Nova Scotia is to have a bit of a change out there in the woods. So many people have a problem with ATVs in the province, and in some cases it's fully understandable why that is. Imagine this. You live on the Trans-Canada Trail, or as a lot of areas call them, rails to trails. And you're lying in bed trying to sleep on a hot summer night with all your windows open, and all of a sudden you hear a loud noise, and it turns out to be an OHV flying down the trail. The speed limit on these trails is either 20 kilometers an hour or 50 kilometers an hour depending on where you are, and these limits are posted along the trail. Now, keeping that in mind, you've seen or heard a few bikes fly by, and that is very agitating for sure. These bikes aren't all quiet. However, what you didn't notice, or maybe you did, but you are so annoyed by these bikes that you don't care, but there are a lot of bikes that do abide by the rules, and they just want to use these trails to enjoy the scenery with their family, or they're just using it as a travel route to a trail or a destination that they are looking to reach. So the solution for many communities is shut down the trail. We don't want these machines in our community. This is the mindset of a lot of communities in the province, and it's very frustrating to people like myself and so many other riders in the province who want to be able to reach services along the trails in these rural communities. With this mindset, you might as well say, we have a speeding problem on the roads, so let's shut down the roads. Sounds ridiculous, right? Exactly. If we don't have enforcement on the streets, then everyone is going to drive absolutely however they want to. I mean, they do now, as it is. Can you imagine if we didn't have enforcement on the streets? Well, I can imagine it. That's exactly what's going on in the woods today. Until we get proper enforcement in the woods and weed out a few bad apples, then we will never see any positive change in the OHV community. I do, however, notice that there are some positive changes going on in Nova Scotia regarding enforcement in the province, and that is great. I'm happy to see it. We will never move forward without it. Now, some say, I drive my machine 5 to 10 times a year. I have to have registration, insurance, and club permits in some areas. That's going to cost me $500 a year to run it 5 to 10 times a year. Or, I have an old bike that I bought for $500. Why would I spend all that money to ride it? Okay, well, what I say in response to that is, I take my OHV out 5 to 10 times a month. Sometimes with my entire family in tow. What happens if you're out on one of your 5 to 10 runs a year with no insurance or anything, and you come around a blind corner or over a blind hill, and you have a collision with a $10,000+ bike, and you have no insurance? I'm screwed. Yes, my insurance would cover it and whatnot, but that's not the point. Now I'm going to pay higher premiums because you didn't have insurance. I understand it's frustrating to some to have to lay out all of this money just to ride a dozen times a year, but unfortunately, if you want the sport to move forward, have better trail connections, better access to communities, have access to share the shoulder of the road, this is what comes with it. Get out there, enjoy what this province has to offer, and have some fun. See you on the trails. Now, that was an article I wrote back on the 28th of August, like I said, and some have argued that speed is not a good example. Well, my point is, it's exactly that. It's just an example. There are many issues out there in the woods, just like there are many issues out on the roads. So, we need to have some enforcement in the woods, or we're never going to move forward. Anyway, I thank you for listening and spending this time with me. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. It helps me out a lot. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.